Alright, once again I am back to bring you another casual guide, this time for the divisional round of the playoffs. And honestly, last week has been absurd with the playoff games, especially the first four. We had Bryce Young having a career game to almost beat the Rams, the Bears mounting an 18-point comeback at the hands of the Iceman Caleb Williams, the Bills getting a walk-off interception against the Jags, and the Niners holding off the Eagles at Philadelphia. Absolute absurdity. If the pattern continues, these next few games are shaping up to be pretty good. So let's hop right into it. To start off on a Sunday afternoon, morning, depending on where you are in the world, we have the number 6 Buffalo Bills and the number 1 Denver Broncos facing off in Denver. Last time these two teams faced off against each other, it was in the wild card last year where the Bills absolutely smothered them 31-7. The Bills are coming into this game after beating the Jaguars 27-24 with a walk-off interception. Despite the Jaguars having the number 1 overall run defense in the entire league against the Bills, limiting James Cook to a pretty quiet game, Josh Allen used that as an opportunity to air it out and win in the passing game, which led me to change the Bills' strength to Josh Allen and his clutch. Their run defense, however, continued to lag behind the rest of the team in quality, especially since Travis Etienne had a great game. Honestly, I don't know why they kept running it with him, because that was really the only thing that was consistently working without the risk of turnovers, which was ultimately what led to the Jaguars losing it. They are visiting the Broncos, and they have a full week to prepare for this game. They are going to give Josh Allen and his weapons a really, really bad time because their secondary is loaded. To be fair, their D-line is also incredible, but their secondary just stands out a little bit more since they have Patrick Surtain and Jahdae Barrett. However, going through the air for the Broncos is also going to be tough because Bo Nix really hasn't been the clutch quarterback that we want to see. I mean, he's clutch, but he hasn't shown really the eye test to really justify putting him in the conversation as, say, a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow. If he wins this game, that could change, but for now, I just don't see it. They're going to have to rely a lot on RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins to really break through this run defense, but ultimately, that doesn't really work for them all the time. That's why I have the Bills winning the game 27-22 at Mile High, and the Bills will be moving on to the AFC Championship with Josh Allen proving that he is the best quarterback in the league. Then on a Saturday night, we have the number 1 San Francisco 49ers taking on the number 1 Seattle Seahawks. Last time these two faced off in Week 18, the Seahawks absolutely clamped down on 49ers and their offense, especially Brock Purdy having a tough time really getting anything going, so they lost 13-3. Frankly, the San Francisco 49ers don't look like the best team, but you've got to give them a ton of credit, especially Kyle Shanahan and his coaching staff, for being able to get this team to where they are despite having such really bad injuries. It's been insane. Trent Williams has been out for a little while. Brandon Ayuk hasn't played at all. I don't know what's going on there. Ricky Pearsall has had his fair share of games. Ultimately, you got to look at Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, and George Kittle all getting out. George Kittle was just last week, but that is still a huge morale loss for the 49ers. And where they are right now really just attests to how good Kyle Shanahan is really at coaching, despite all the Super Bowl losses that he's suffered in the last decade or so. On the bright side, CMC is hitting his stride late in the season, and Fred Warner could possibly return. As of now, I don't think that is the case, but he will be practicing, so he will definitely return to the NFC Championship if they do beat the Seahawks in this game. Unfortunately, they got screwed by the Packers because they would have gone up against the Seahawks. Instead, they choked away the game, and now the San Francisco 49ers have to play against the Seahawks, who are arguably the biggest Super Bowl favorite. Look, everything about this team is incredible. The defense, the run game, the secondary, everything. The kicking, even. Like, the special teams is pretty good, too. The coaching is great. The only concern I have for them is Sam Darnold and his ability to deliver in the biggest moment. Last time he played in this kind of a game, he crapped the bed. He got sacked 9 times, and not all of those were his fault, but still, he couldn't get anything going when he wasn't getting sacked. he was seeing ghosts after all. If Sam Darnold can't prove himself in this kind of a situation, then I see the 49ers having a shot at this. But personally, from what I've seen from this team and from Sam Darnold throughout the season, and the last 2 seasons, frankly, I don't see that happening. I see Sam Darnold getting just enough to win 20-10 in his first playoff game since that disastrous loss when he was in Minnesota. Next, on a Sunday morning, we have the number 5 Houston Texans traveling to New England to face off the number 2 Patriots. Houston beat the Patriots 41-21 the last time they faced off early on last season. However, this season, after a combined 1-5 start for both of these teams, they have finished the season with a 25-3 record. The Texans themselves were down 0-3 to start the season and came back with an 11-2 finish, especially at the hand of their excellent defense. And that wasn't even considering that CJ Stroud got injured for like a quarter of the year and Davis Mills had to take over. Last week, their D-line completely shut down Aaron Rodgers, forcing a fumble and indirectly causing an interception, both for a touchdown, scoring 14 points on defense. Here's the problem. That was more than the offense scored, which leads me to my next point. CJ Stroud did not do well against the Steelers defense. He had a pretty bad game in the turnover department, and ultimately he just couldn't really deliver on a lot of drives, and he had to rely on his defense very, very heavily. To be fair, it isn't all his fault. The O-line has been horrible, and they have shown that they can't really play against physical front sevens that well, and they're going to be facing off against a pretty solid one in the New England Patriots unit. Speaking of the Patriots, they have been one of the most well-rounded and consistent teams in the entire league. I said this last week, but Mike Vrabel has really made this team like one of the most dependable teams of all time. To be fair, it is kind of inflated because they have had one of the easiest schedules in the league, but ultimately it doesn't really matter too much. The defense especially showed up a ton against the Chargers and Justin Herbert, showing a ton of physicality and taking advantage of their weak offensive line due to injuries. Like I said, their only real weak part of the game is run defense, and ultimately they were able to contain Omari and Hampton very, very well last season. Still not a huge issue. Like I said, very well-rounded team. Because of that, I have the Patriots taking advantage of another weak O-line and shutting down the Texans offense and CJ Stroud with a win of 16-9 in New England to go up against the Bills in an AFC East showdown. Oh, that would be so cool. Then finally, on a Sunday night, we have an interesting game featuring the number 5 Los Angeles Rams visiting the number 2 Chicago Bears. These two haven't faced off in over a year when the Bears won 24-18, and that was before the Washington Miracle that basically sunk their entire season. This time around, the Bears will have a harsh home field advantage, coming off of one of their highest highs of basically the last decade of Bears football, after getting a giant come-from-behind victory over the Packers. And it will be one of the coldest nights in Soldier Field history. The Rams have historically been a pretty good team in harsh conditions despite them being in LA, but it's just something to keep in mind because that could greatly affect the game if it becomes very, very harsh. The Rams have just come off a rough game versus the Carolina Panthers, narrowly escaping with an essential walk-off touchdown from Matthew Stafford after holding a 2-touchdown lead early in the game. This really showed the Rams' inconsistencies like I stated last week. And in the biggest stage, that could be a huge problem for the Rams if they want to make any sort of progress towards possibly getting a Super Bowl win. On the other side, the Bears are coming from the most powerful high in the entire league after coming from a near insurmountable lead, being down 21-3 at halftime to win 27-31. They were led by Caleb Williams, nicknamed the Iceman. Oh my gosh, I want a nickname like that. And his passing attack to make the offense get those crucial drives to close the gap. However, their passing defense got dissected by Jordan Love last week, And that's going to be a huge problem because the Rams have one of the best passing games in the league with Matthew Stafford getting to throw to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. This is essentially a coin flip for me on deciding who to predict winning. But I see too many small issues with the Rams to really justify them winning at Soldier Field. And the Bears just, they feel unstoppable. I can't explain it. If this was at SoFi Stadium, I think this would flip, but that's not the case. So I have the Bears winning 34-28. Last week, I went a respectable 4-2 record in predictions for the wild card weekend. So I'm going to update my predictions for who I think will win the Super Bowl. I have the Seahawks winning against the Bears in the NFC Championship. Come on, this could change if Sam Darnold doesn't impress me and they still beat the 49ers. But I don't see a way Caleb Williams can break through this defense. And I feel like most ways that the Seahawks win will be depending on Sam Darnold. And if that's the case, then Sam Darnold will have proven himself to be able to win those kinds of games. In the AFC East matchup, I'm taking the Bills. No, I'm not biased. I'm a little biased. But on a serious note, the Bills just look too unstoppable to not win against the New England Patriots after they have proven that they really can still win and were able to do so earlier in the season after being down 21-0. Josh Allen can just make stuff like that happen if it's not against the Chiefs. Then in the Super Bowl, we have the Seahawks and the Bills facing off. I would love to see this game. And now I feel if the Bills make it this far, I feel like they could 100% win this game, and it will be close. It will be cinema. But Sam Darnold will have proven himself as a reliable playoff quarterback because being able to beat the Bears in the playoffs with their clutch factor is a huge upside for them. So I don't think they will be able to lose this game if that's the case. And I have the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl and hoisting the Lombardi Trophy for the second time in Seattle. I really hope this isn't the case because I want the Bills to win, but I'm almost confident enough to put the Bills as the Super Bowl favorite for me. And that's about it. Again, thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I'm going to be doing all sorts of off-season stuff, the draft, free agency, schedule release, all that good stuff. But for now, I'll see you next week when I do the conference championship games and break them down for all of you casuals to experts. Thanks, guys.